Okay, let's continue. The next technique is accounting rate of return. Accounting rate of return is calculated by averaging the accounting profit with the average investment cost. The accounting profit can be expressed either before tax or after tax, but better to use after tax. Okay, this is the calculation process of accounting rate of return, ARR, right? Average net profit per year, right, over the life of the project upon average investment cost. How do we calculate average net profit? Total profit upon number of life of the project. Average investment of the project is calculated initial investment upon 2. Okay, let's move on to the example. Okay, before move to the example, acceptance criterion is there, right? In terms of evaluation of the investment, right, if ARR is less than minimum acceptable rate, you reject the project. If it is equal, then you can accept the project. If ARR is greater than minimum rate, again you accept the project, right? Highest ARR should be chosen, right? Okay, let's do the basic question, right? Example: a company is considering whether to buy specialized machine for a new production line. The purchase price of the machine is 400,000. Okay, and its estimated useful life is 4 years. There is no scrap value after 4 years. The project income statement is given below, right? You have the profit after tax, right? You have revenue, you have depreciation, other expenses, profit before tax, profit after tax for year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. You can find in this line, right? 51,000, 68,000, 59,500, 76,500 respectively. Should the company buy the new machine if minimum required rate of return is 20? Minimum required rate of return is 20. Okay, let's do this calculation, right? I'll sum it up: 51,000, 68,000, 59,500, 76,500, right? Sum it up and divide by lifetime of the project, that is 4 years. So you get the average amount. Average investment, at the beginning you have to invest 400,000. there is no scrap value, right? Thereby divide by 2, it's 200,000. If there is a scrap value, you have to deduct and you have to divide it. Okay, then cost of machinery is 400,000, so that is applied here, right? Cost of machinery is 0 at the depreciation at the end, as depreciation provided on straight line method, right? So why it is 0? The cost of machinery is 0 at the end, as depreciation is provided on straight line method and there is no scrap value. Okay, so you are ending up with the answer 31.875%. This is the ARR value, which is greater than 20%. It is greater than 20%. Therefore it is acceptable. Since ARR is 31.875, which is higher than the minimum acceptable rate 20%, you can accept the project. This is ARR. Again, in the ARR, you are taking here the accounting profit, right? Average net profit. average net profit, right? Profit after tax is given in the question, so we have averaged it, and we have taken the average investment, and by comparing the average net income up and average investment, right, we have found ARR. Okay, right. We are moving to another technique which is coming under discounted cash flow method, right? In other words, this technique consider the time value of money, right? Net present value, simply we say NPV. Sum of the present value of all cash inflows and outflows of the projects. NPV is equal sum, right? T starting from year 0 go up to n years, right? Cash flow of T time upon 1 plus cost, right? Cost of capital to the power of T, okay, right. I'll continue the example uh, of project L and project S, right, which I took at the payback period method very beginning in my presentation, right? Sorry, hope there is another typing disorder, right? What I will do, I will upload this presentation in the LMS, so you can find the figures very clearly, right? Right, let me to continue the NPV. The value is okay, year 0, then after year 1, 2, 3. Year 0 in a sense, right? I will write here, otherwise cash flow, right? Year 0, cash outflow is 100, okay? Cash outflow is 100. Year 1, 10. Year 2, 60. Year 3, 80. Okay, present value of cash flow, right? 0 into minus 100 is minus 100. Okay, because at this is year 0, discounting factor is equal 1, right? If the cost of capital is 10%, right, as I explained to you in the discounted payback period how to adjust the cash flow to the present value, you have to follow the same way. So if it is 10%, right, 10 upon 1 plus 0.10 to the power 1, then you are ending up with 9.09, right? If you are applying 60 upon 1 plus 0.10 to the power 2 for the second year, you are ending up with 49.59, right? For the third year, 80 upon 1 plus 0.10 to the power 3, then you are ending up with 60, let me to write 0.11, right? So NPV is equal NPV is equal 18.79, right, rupees. This is the value. NPV is equal rupees 18.79. Say for an example, NPV of S project is 19.98. 19.98. Okay, what is your decision? Okay, let's discuss that. These are the present value. I'll take another color. These are the present value, right? NPV is 18.79 for the project L. For the project S, 19.98. Okay, moving to the decision. How we are calculating? Present value of cash inflow minus cost. Then net gain in wealth is found. If the projects are independent, except if the project NPV greater than 0. Remember, at the beginning I explained there are two type of project. One is independent project. The other one is mutually exclusive project, right? As long as NPV value is greater than 0, then if you have sufficient fund to invest in all the projects, then those are independent project and you can accept the value, right? In our example, if the project L and S, if you have sufficient fund to invest, those projects produces NPV greater than 0, because one is project L produces 18.79, project S answer is 19.98, so you can accept both, right? If it is independent. If the projects are mutually exclusive, except the project with the highest NPV, those at the most value, right? If the project L and S are mutually exclusive, then you have to select one, because both project will give the same benefits, right? So you have to select one. Which one you have to select? Select the highest NPV, right? You select NPS, project S. In that case, in this, right? So the answer is clear. In this example, we accept S project if mutually exclusive, right, as greater than L, and would accept both project if independent. If it is a case of independent project, you can accept both. If it is the case of mutually exclusive project, you have to accept S. Hope it's clear. Okay, this is the basic questions. Basic question. Okay, moving to IRR. IRR is the discount rate that forces present value of inflows equal to the cost, and the NPV becomes 0 at that point. NPV becomes 0, right? Okay, let me explain in the example. A project cost of 400, the values are in million, okay, 400 million and produces a regular cash flow of 200 million at the end of the each of the next 3 years. Calculate the IRR. If the minimum rate of return is 15%, suggest with reason whether you should accept the project or not. Okay, since this IRR is explaining the present value of inflows equal to the cost at which NPV is equal 0, we have to follow the trial and error method. Okay, NPV should be 0. NPV should be 0. If you adjust 200 million upon 1 plus R, because you don't know the value of R value is equal to IRR plus again the second year 200 million 1 plus R you don't know within bracket squared the second year plus third year also 200 million 1 upon 1 plus R to the power of 3. Okay, minus initial cash outflow 400 million in this question, then the value should be equal to 0. Then here you have to find the value of R, the value of R. So how can you find that? Right, simply we do trial and error method. We do trial and error method. Okay, right, assume, right, hypothetically you assume a percentage, right, so I have taken 22%. Then you find the NPV, right. How then the formula will be changed? 200 upon 1 plus 0.22 to the power 1, again 200 million upon 1 plus 0.22 to the power 2. Wait, for the third year 200 upon 1 plus 0.22 to the power 3 minus 400. If you calculate, you are ending up the value of 8.4. 8.4. Right? Another one, in the trial and error method, you have to take another percentage. You have to take another percentage where the value of NPV should be negative. Value of NPV should be negative, right? I'll explain it, right? When it is 0.22, it is 8.4, right? You can infer when we are increasing the R value, that is we applied 0.22 mean 22%. When we increase that, you can end up with minus value. You can end up with minus value, right? Let me to assume 24% is the another discount rate. Then you are ending up with minus 3.8. Minus 3.8. Okay, so you have a positive NPV and you have a negative NPV at this point, right? Now we will see the formula of IRR. Formula of IRR. Formula of IRR is equal lower rate, L is equal discount rate of the low trial, right, plus P is equal NPV of cash flow of the low trial NPV of the cash flow of the load trial, that is the positive value, right, upon again the positive value of NPV, that is the NPV of cash flow of the load trial, minus n is equal NPV of higher trial. Why? When it is 24%, the value is minus, therefore it's you have to apply the negative value. Again, when the trial is low, 22%, you got positive value, right? This part, right, into higher discounting rate minus lower discounting rate, right? So accordingly, low discounting rate is 22% plus low trial NPV value is the positive value 8.4 upon again the 8.4, right, low trial of the NPV 8.4 minus again n is equal high trial of NPV, that is minus 3.8, right? Anyway, it will become plus into higher discounting rate is 24% minus low discounting rate is 22%, right? If you are applying these values, if you are plugging these values in this formula, you are ending up with 23.38%. 23.38%, right? This is, we are finding the IRR based on trial and error method, where you have to apply the percentage of discounting factor, right, as a positive value, right? You assume and you apply it, then based on the answer you can decide you have to increase the discounting factor to find the negative value, or if your answer is already minus, right, you have to reduce the discounting factor to find the NPV value positive. That you can decide, right? The IRR acceptance criteria is, if IRR is greater than cost that is given in the question, right, 15% minimum rate of return, you accept it. If IRR is less than the key, you reject it. If the projects are independent, accept both projects, right, as both IRR is greater than 10%, right? Wait, it should be 15%, okay. So 23.8%, right? The criteria for the decision is if IRR greater than K, then you can accept the projects, right? So this should be 15%, right? It's a mistake. Suppose if the project L we have done, assume that if there are two projects, right, assume the example that I started with project L and project S, right? If the IRR is greater than project S, if the IRR of the project S is greater than IRR of project L, then if it is a case of mutually exclusive, then you have to accept project S. right, when you calculate IRR for both projects. Okay. Now we are moving to somewhat advanced, right? We have been discussing it from the beginning onwards of the presentation, very basic question, right? Now let me to explain the project cash flow in detail first. Cash flow from the assets has three components. One is operating cash flow, capital spending, and third one is net working capital. Right? Typing disorder is there. I'm sorry for that. At the beginning, right? As far as the cash flow is concerned, right? Because in my previous example, in calculating NPV and IRR, hypothetically I gave some figures and I convert it into the present value by assuming those figures are the cash flow. Now what I am explaining, how to adjust and find out these cash flows, right? Cash flows in a sense, operating cash flow, capital spending, and net working capital, right? Operating cash flow mean earning before interest and tax, EBIT plus depreciation minus tax. Remember, when you are calculating operating cash flow, right, you have to make adjustment. You have to be very careful when you are handling this question, right? For an example, when we are calculating net profit, right, we deduct depreciation. But in terms of cash flow, right, from the EBIT, you have to add back the depreciation, which is a non-cash item, right, then after you have to deduct the tax. Capital spending mean, I'll take another color to highlight, right, plus depreciation and minus tax, right? At this point you have to be careful when you are adjusting. Capital spending mean it's an initial investment, initial cash outflow. Net working capital, right, initially firm invests outflow on working capital, and at the end of the project firm recover the initial investment, recover the working capital, right, what is invested. Say for an example, you are buying an asset, right, that is a capital spending, that the investment in that asset is not enough. Why? In order to run that asset in the production day by day in a short period, you need money to make some other expenses, where you will invest this working capital, right? So the assumption is initially you will invest it, and at the end of the project you will be able to recover it. Projected total cash flow is equal what we discuss, operating cash flow minus net working capital minus capital spending. Okay, let me to explain this scenario in an example. right? Sales, right, values are in 3 digits, 3 zeros, short form, right? 1500, cost is 700, depreciation is 600, tax is 34%, right? Now if you want to find out operating cash flow, how can you find it out? You have this is equal, right? You have the sales minus cost. You have the sales 1500, right? You deduct cost 700, right? You have to add back the depreciation. Then you are ending up the value of 200, right? 1500 minus 700, right? I'm sorry, this is minus, right? Because at the beginning you have EBIT, no? You're ending up with 200. In order to calculate the operating cash flow, I'll take another color. In order to calculate the operating cash flow, what you have to do? You already found EBIT, right? In a normal way, when you are doing the income statement, this is the way you follow, right? You deduct cost from the sales, and again you deduct depreciation. You find earning before interest and tax. This is the figure you have now. If you want to find operating cash flow, what you have to do? The 200 that you found as EBIT, you have to add back. I am repeating the word. You have to add back the non-cash item. Non-cash item is depreciation is in the example, right? You have to add back 600, and again you have to deduct the tax 34%, that is 68. So right now the operating cash flow is 732. Operating cash flow is 732, right? So you can do this exercise, right, in using different approach, right? I have to say, how did you find this 68? Because you have found EBIT 200, earning before interest and tax, into tax rate 34%, right? Should be 34%, that is equals to 68. Hope it's clear. What are those different approach, right, according to the information given in the scenario, right, given in your exam, right? You have to think, how can you find this operating cash flow? There are different approaches, different ways to calculate. Okay, let's do the previous example. Right, using these three approaches. Bottom up approach is the first. Okay, how do we calculate net income? Right, net income is equal EBIT minus tax. EBIT we found 200. EBIT we found 200, right? This is the amount. Let me to do it here, right? 200 minus We already found tax is 68. How we found 68? 200 into 34 percentage. Okay, the answer is 132. Now operating cash flow according to the bottom up approach is net income plus depreciation, right? Net income is 132 plus depreciation is 600. According to the previous example, depreciation is 600. Then 732 is the cash flow. 732 is the cash flow, right? The same answer. If we are following the top down approach, start with the top of the income statement and subtract the cost and taxes, leaving the non-cash item. This is important, huh? You have to ignore the non-cash item. So at the top you have sale 1500, right? 1500 minus cost, I suppose 700 minus tax 68. So 732 is the answer. 1500, 700, if you deduct it 800, again deduct 68, 732. So where you have to be careful, you should ignore the non-cash item. You don't need to apply it according to this approach. Tax shield approach. Adjust the tax saving which result from the depreciation. How? So here also you are calculating OCF, operating cash flow, here also operating cash flow, here also operating cash flow. So according to this approach, how can you apply? The same figure you can put it here, 1500 minus, wait, 1500 minus cost 700, right, within bracket, 1 minus tax rate, 1 minus 34, that should be 0.34, right? 1 minus 34 let me to write more legibly, right? 1 minus 34, right, within bracket, plus 600 is the depreciation into tax rate 0.34, right? The answer, hope you will get the same answer, 732. Okay, right? According to the information given in your question or scenario, you have to apply any of this formula. in order to identify, in order to calculate operating cash flow. Okay, let's move to the next techniques. Profitability index. Profitability index is the present value of the future cash flows divided by the initial cost. Right? Present value of benefit upon present value of the cost, or present value of inflows upon present value of outflow. What is the criteria, decision criteria is to accept the the profitability index, the answer of the question should be greater than 1. Right? Pi is equal present value of cash flow upon initial investment I0, and that should be greater than 1 to accept. Right? If the profitability index answer is greater than 1, then definitely NPV value will be plus. NPV value will be plus. Right? Profitability index is also the same calculation of like NPV, right? But profitability index gives answer as ratio, right? The same way of calculation, right? Like NPV, where NPV you are ending up with the answer of some numbers, right? Whereas profitability index is presenting the answer as ratio, relative figure, so which will help you for a quick decision making. Right? For an example, say I'll go to the another slide and I will explain. Say NPV is equal 500. The same project, you calculate profitability index, that is equal to 1.1. So let's say it's 100. Say 100 million. When you are interpreting the answer, NPV is equal to 100 million means that if you invest, right, some amount of money, right, the net present value of the answer is 100. Doesn't make any sense. But when you are calculating the profitability index value, if the answer is say 1.5, let's say 1.5, not 1.1, it means if you give some message directly, it's helping for a quick decision making, right? It means PI, profitability index, is equal 1.5. It means if you are investing 1 rupee in the project, you are ending up with 1.5. This sort of relative answer, the comparable answer, does not provided by net present value technique, right? This is the advantage of PI. Okay, right? So this is the in my example of profitability index of L project, S project, right? If you are doing the calculation to which information has been given for the at the beginning, the calculation of NPV, right? You are ending up with 1.1879. Assume that Project L is providing the answer 1.19, right? Right? If it is independent project, you can accept both. Why? It provides profitability index more than 1, the value of more than 1. But if it is mutually exclusive projects, right, take the highest value. So that is the answer, right? In addition to the basic discussion, right, in my presentation, I want to move to the calculation with uh, NPV calculation with inflation, tax rate, tax adjustment, and so on, right? What I have planned, I will be discussing with the practical questions. Probably I will choose the question from the past paper, right? And I will show how to do it, and I will explain all these scenarios, all these factors, like adjusting the tax, depreciations, inflation, everything, right? In another video clip, right? Before I am winding up with this clip, so I will summarize, right? We discuss about the project appraisal at the beginning, right? We discuss about what is capital budgeting, capital budget, and capital budgeting technique, right? Then we move on to the techniques, appraisal methods, right, which consider the time value of money, which ignores the time value of money. We discuss payback period, accounting rate of return, right, discounted payback method, right? Under the methods considering time value of money, we discuss NPV, IRR, profitability index, right? So one part I have to cover, right, as a full question, right, considering tax adjustment, depreciation, and inflation, which I am planning to do as another video clip, right? I will meet in the next video, right? Thank you very much.